Welcome, everybody. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. We have a couple of very special guests today, and so I would like to invite Larry Dimmitt to come on up and introduce his guests.
Thank you, Madam President. It's my privilege today to introduce two folks who have become dear friends of ours over the last 10 or 12 years. They're from India, and they are from Chandigarh, I'm saying that wrong, India, which is north of Delhi. And I'd like to introduce, I have to look at my notes to make sure I say it right, Madhu, well, it's actually Madhukar or Madhu Malhotra and his wife, Niru. And I might explain that we've maintained a relationship through the years. Are they in the right place?
Yep.
I don't know how wide that goes. We've maintained a relationship through the years, primarily through attending international conventions. And this year was no exception. We were in Houston for the International Rotary Convention, as was our president-elect Steve. And we met Madhu and Niru there, and we found out that they were going to be coming to Topeka after the convention because their daughter lives here. She's married to a physician here in Topeka, and they have a granddaughter who's going to be preparing to go to Washburn University. So in any event, Madhu is here, and our district and his district are discussing a couple of global grant projects that we'll be considering, having to do with oral cancer detection, and which is a big issue in the district where they come from. And so we're looking forward to having further discussions about that. But having said that, I ask you to welcome our visitors from India, and also not to forget my wife. She's not really a visitor, and she's sitting back. She's a member of this club, but some of you might think she's a visitor. So I welcome her as well.
Thank you, Larry and President Murray. Thank you very much, and thank you all members of the club for welcoming us. It's been a pleasure. This is my third visit to your club. The first one is 2012, when Anita Walgut was the president. And of course, we attended a social gathering, social event there that time, and 2016 and 2018. And the last I met Larry was in Houston. And before that, in 2020, the last physical international assembly, we were both there. Yes. He was there, Kutsi being a director, and I was a training leader. Thank you very much, and we look forward to greater interaction between our clubs. And of course, the Rotary extended family is one family. Thank you.
One of the things that we are really excited to be able to start again, because we're having guests, we would like to give you one of our banners for you to take back to your club.
Well, thank you very much. Since we had already exchanged banners earlier, I didn't carry one today. Actually, I ran out of them in Houston. You can understand that. But thank you very much. And probably next time I come or my daughter comes visiting, I'll send one to her.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. I feel like I don't like to say the word normal, back to normal, but I feel like we are doing a number of things that are the things we haven't been able to do, which is meet in person, have that fellowship, have the visiting Rotarians internationally come and visit us. So it's very exciting, and just thrilled to be able to do that. I have just a couple of announcements. We have 2 events for you to consider if you're available. There are still several spots available for the Brown v. Board education tour on Saturday, June 25th. And that is a wonderful opportunity to have a curated tour of the history of Brown v. Board at the historic site. This is something that is complementary to the work that we are doing with the Social Justice Committee. It's within kind of the things we talked about doing, is being able to really showcase our local history tours and kind of pivotal spaces that focus on equity, diversity, and inclusion. So if you have some time, I would encourage you to go to that event. Similarly, I sent it out yesterday. One of the things that we're really working on is how can we really kind of strengthen our relationship with the zoo, because they are so gracious and give us this venue at no cost with all the technology support. We just couldn't thank them enough. And if you've been with the club for a while, you know that we have been looking for a home for quite some time. And so this is our home. So one of the things we're looking at being able to do is building on those opportunities where we can strengthen that. So Brew at the Zoo is on Saturday. And I know we have several club members who are already volunteering, but if you have some time and you want to be in one of the pouring stations, so learning to pour some pints, please consider joining on Saturday evening from 5 to 9. And hopefully it won't be 100 degrees, but it also won't be raining. I also mentioned beginning in July, we are transitioning away from on our clubs using club meetings using Zoom as a platform and moving into YouTube. We're going to go back to making, really having those focuses on in-person meetings, with filming the meetings and then adding them to our YouTube channel. And finally, our social next week is June 30th. It's going to be at the Norseman Brewing Company in the Noto Arts District. And in addition to hors d'oeuvres, there will also be, you'll get 2 drink tickets. So really please come and celebrate with me and have some fun. It's a wonderful venue and it's a great way to give back to our local businesses. So please do that. Are there any other announcements that I have forgotten? I always look at Steve to make sure I haven't forgotten anything.
Nothing.
Thank you, Roger. So this is the last Thursday to be able to contribute for the June Cup money. And as you recall, we are contributing funds to be able to support Pine Ridge Prep and their pre-literacy program. And the ability for those dollars will go to have resources that families will be able to take home and do some pre-reading and getting them all ready to be successful in school for when they go back to school. So thank you very much, Roger. Okay. I am going to turn this over to Vince to introduce our speaker.
Good afternoon. Well, this is kind of a special day for several people. Number one, Marie's last week as being president and being in front of you. But from my standpoint, this is the last week that I'm in charge of programs. And it's been a wonderful opportunity. I've had such a great time getting people to speak. Everybody's been so enthused about coming here and speaking to you, and I hope you've enjoyed them. Today, in my final speaker, I have a friend that I'm pleased to have speak, and many of you already know him because he was a member of this club for many years, Pat Michaelis. Pat is the vice president of Midwest Housing Equity Group here in Topeka, and he kind of shares time between his home here and his home in Phoenix. But Pat and I have worked together for many years on several projects. The most recent, we've been involved in the Downtown Topeka Foundation, which was involved in raising the money for the amenities that you see up and down Kansas Avenue, including the the arches, the pocket parks, the fountains, and the statues that you see. And currently, we're working together. We oversee the Evergy Plaza, and Pat has chaired the foundation, and both of us serve on it now. Several years ago, as we were planning the redevelopment project for downtown, we wanted to tell the history of our community. And we decided to do that by creating statues of famous Topekans. So we set aside enough money from our fundraising to build or create, design 4 statues to begin with. And then we used the Capital Journal to survey the community as to who they said the 4 should be to begin with. And those 4 that they voted on were Arthur Capper, Cyrus K. Holliday. We also had Charles Curtis and Linda Brown. Linda Brown asked us not to choose her because she was just a child at the time. She really didn't feel like she was that involved in the Brown v. Board effort, and suggested there were others that should be considered. So after many discussions with Brown v. Board site, the board of the Brown Foundation and others, they suggested McKinley Burnett, who at the time was the president of the NAACP here in Topeka and led the effort. So his statue is there in place of Linda Brown. So there were 4. Since that time, we've added 2 more. Samuel Crumbine, who was kind of the first health director for the state of Kansas, going way back. He created the fly swatter, Don't Spit on Me bricks, and other things, as well as Ichabod Washburn. And those were funded by private dollars. We're currently working on one for Teresa Cuevas, who was the founder of Mariachi Estrella. And we are also in the process of finalizing funding on one for the Meningers. But we're here today to talk about somebody who also has not only a statue, but an entire pavilion, and that's Harry Colmery. And out of all of the votes that were tallied through the Capital Journal, over 3,000, Harry Colmery got 1 vote. And obviously, a lot of people didn't realize who he was. Pat Michaelis looked at that person, learned more about him, and said, do you realize the significance of what this man did for the entire country? And he's from Topeka. He needs to be honored. And Pat took it upon himself to start that effort. And I will tell you, it was nationwide. And Pat, as you all know, Pat, he's excellent when he decides to get involved and is committed. So my pleasure to introduce Pat Michaelis.
Hey, it's nice to be here. I've been involved with Rotary. Since I was a kid. So not being a part of Rotary is kind of hard on me, but I'm just moving around too much. I want to complete the little Vince's story. So I was reading the Capital Journal and I saw that Harry Colmery was being nominated for the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And I thought to myself, the guy is, and then what he did and wrote the GI Bill. And if you think of the impact on that. So I went to the committee and I was told that, we've already made the selection of people we're going to honor as statues. And it's just too late. And I looked at him and I said, wrong answer. That's not an acceptable answer. So I agreed to help with the funding and stuff. And so we got it. I've got several things I want to talk about, but I might just jump in last and say the pocket park that we're talking about is at 901 South Kansas Avenue, right across from the Cyrus Hotel. And I will tell you, if you haven't been down there and give yourself a little time to check it out. And I mean, there's renderings, there's 5 servicemen, all the branches of the service, including the Tuscan Airmen. And then the same faces, the artist Janet Zobel from Topeka, Then she placed those faces on engineers and architects and teachers and builders and, people once they had, come back and stuff. So I probably got more material here than I need, but I do want to introduce Jimmy Foster. I asked Jimmy to come. Jimmy's the Adjutant General of the American Legion, Kansas. And Jimmy, stand up. The pocket park that we're talking about on Kansas Avenue is American Legion's Harry Colmery Park. So the American Legion were really instrumental in getting the park in shape and built and funded and all that. And they printed the books on your table. And they're there for you to take. We have plenty of the books, so make sure you get one. And if there's not enough on each table, there's some of the down by stand, on your way out. So, and then Vince, I do want to kind of look back at him a little bit. He is also, besides your incoming president, he's the downtown foundation treasurer and board member. And I will tell you, he has been at this since we started Go Topeka, so Vince is a major in the Colmery effort and, and all that. So let's give Vince a big round of applause. And one of the first people I talked to about this was Raymond, from the Historical Society. And he was the one that really kind of got me going as far as, some of the detail and some of the history and that sort of thing. So the book and all this and the writing is a lot of your credit, Raymond. Thank you. All right, I have three things I want, and I can quit real quick. I want you to remember three things, all right? And when we're done, just three things. Harry Colmery lived and worked in Topeka, Kansas. He lived here from 1999 to 1979. So Ann's going to talk about his house a little bit, and because she's a neighbor to him. But he was an attorney. He was involved in everything, all the civic organizations. He was not a Rotarian. He was a Kiwanis guy. President and regional, all that stuff. But so that's the first thing. He lived and worked here. He drafted the GI Bill, December 43. And it is commonly known as one of the most impactful pieces of legislation approved by any nation, anytime. It made that big a difference. And then the third thing is the pocket park. So the three things: he lived here, he did the GI Bill, and the pocket park. So we can quit now if you like. But just right now, how many? Did anybody here know Mr. Colmery? He died in 1979. But anybody have any personal connection with him or know his children? Sarah and Harry Jr. and there were three kids. But anybody have any personal connections with him? All right. Well, I'm just going to give you some bullet points here. I'm not talk, but I'll try to. He was a lawyer, businessman, a politician, civic leader, nationally and in Topeka. World War I, he was a pilot, and he came back from World War I, and he saw the deplorable conditions that the veterans were coming back from. There was no benefits then, nothing. I mean, people were coming back disabled, maimed, blind, hollowed on canes, no jobs or opportunity. So that his experience in World War I really probably was introduced him to the need for the GI Bill, and I'm sure others. He did write it, but he's not the only one that was involved in it. He readily gave others credit, but so he saw that he moved to Topeka after World War I, 1999. And so I thought maybe I'd mention some of the law firms. He was Dean and Colmery, Doran, Klein, Colmery, Cosgrove, Colmery, Smith, and Russell. Any of those mean anything to anybody, or their heirs, or and they're names that morphed into maybe something current today. And I do want to mention this is important, and later on in the story, Colmery, Smith, and Russell, they had a young man come in with them by the name of Frank Sabatini. So Frank was a part of the Colmery legacy. And this is another important fact. As a Topeka lawyer, he was known for arranging complicated detail into manageable logical sequence. All right, that's a key, right? What made him selected to be the writer of the GI Bill. He represented Robert Stroud, Birdman of Alcatraz, who was convicted and sentenced for killing a guard at the Leavenworth Penitentiary. And so they were appealing it. Thank heavens he was denied. He didn't win that one. Board of Directors of the Topeka Chamber, President, tons of stuff. But his big deal was the American Legion. So the American Legion was formed in Paris in 1919. Harry joined here in Topeka in 1920. So, I mean, he was right at the front end. Post commander, department commander for Kansas, and national commander of American Legion. So, I mean, he went right up the chain. He was responsible for, or one of the ones responsible for bringing our veterans, our VA hospital here, the Colmery O'Neill Hospital. He practiced law upon his death. And I thought this was kind of interesting. He died at a national convention of the American Legion. So, you know, I don't know about you, but that'd be a good way to go, you know. So buried at Mount Hope Cemetery. So anybody else have any other kind of on the personal side? And would you mind just telling about his house, kind of a neighbor of yours?
We moved to Scotland in 78. She needs to be on the microphone. Okay.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot here, but.
No, that's fine. We moved to Potwin in 78, which was a year before Harry Colmery died. And I don't know if you know, but in Potwin, you have to live there about 40 years before it's your house. And when we moved there, everybody pointed out the Colmery house. And it's worth driving by because it's quite unusual. It's on the northeast corner of First and Greenwood. And it's not Victorian. He built this later. And you look at it and you think, man, it's really a good looking house, but the style doesn't look familiar. It's like a rectangle in wood, but quite impressive with a recessed door. And a neighbor told us right away that the Colmery house was what's called a New England colonial. Now we think colonial has white pillars and is white, but he grew up, I think, in either Vermont, New Hampshire, somewhere in New England. And he wanted this house. And I told Pat that the most stunning feature of it is a lovely home, but is when you walk in the living room at the south end is the fireplace. And I told Pat that even he could walk into it. It is, apparently, again, quite New England. Now, while I'm here, I'm going to ask you a question because my husband has always said that Harry Colmery wrote the Philippine Constitution. Is that not true? I'll tell Jerry he was wrong.
I don't.
I don't know if that's part of the myth or whatever.
When I was in my reading of what he did here, I didn't see that. Raymond, do you know?
I don't.
Jerry's not in the habit of making stuff up, but it could be that somebody in the legal community told him this years ago, and it's.
You could have.
I'll find out.
Okay, let us know. Thank you, Ann. Okay, so the big point is he was a citizen here. He was participated. He was there for 60 years. He is buried in Mount Hope Cemetery. Okay, so the Servicemen's Readjustment Act of 1944, known as the GI Bill. So we know he was passionate about it coming out of World War I. You know, and at the time, if you got out of prison, you got $50 and a suit of clothes. If you were coming out of the military, you just got out of the military, you know, so you got nothing. So there were 640, during this time, the war's ending, winding down, there are 640 bills introduced to Congress. I mean, just a slug of stuff, you know, just trying to help, but just a mess of them. And at the same time, 75,000 men and women were being discharged from the military. So communities are just filling up like crazy, you know, with people that were wounded, sick, destitute, psychologically, and reeling and that sort of thing. So, so Harry and others, and I think this is true, were appointed by the American Legion to draft the GI Bill. All right. So, but then Harry was assigned the job, to actually draft it, which he did in December of 1943. He did it in the Mayfair Hotel, room 570. Yeah. And Connie and I have been there and checked it out. So, but then going back to that complicated, being able to manage complicated facts and into a logical sequence. So he took 640 bills and made a 10-point GI Bill out of it. So he was good at what he did. I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but it was passed on June the 22nd, 1944. So 78 years ago yesterday. Okay. All right. Okay. I want to mention this. At the time, and this is no different than it would be today. Hey, we can't do that. It's socialistic. It's going to compensate people for not working. And it costs too much, right? I mean, just typical, arguments that you hear today, about social programs or things we're trying to do here. The investment return the United States Treasury 10-1. So for every dollar put in, we've gained, and I'm sure the multiplier effect is even more than that. I mean, but anyway, that's the stint. It made us a superpower. Tens of millions of veterans used it to attend college, trade schools, and on-the-job training. Okay, at the time, before the GI Bill, 4% of the citizens attended college. After that, it doubled, tripled, quadrupled, all of that sort of thing. I think about how would you like to be a college kid, and when you're being graded on the curve, and here's, half the class are veterans that are serious about their stuff, and you just went to the wheel last night, The other thing, I'm going to talk about KU for just a second, but I'm sure K-State and others. But I attended a Western Civ class west of the football stadium in an Army barracks in 1964. So I don't know. You remember that, Raymond? Yeah. I mean, so it was the facilities lingered for a little bit. Okay, who remembers what happened July the 20th, 1969? Man on the moon, exactly. That's right. And I think that is a monumental tribute to the GI Bill. Who do you think were the people, the scientists and the engineers that got us to the moon? Yeah. And that's depicted on one of the plaques down in the good job, Sam. Yeah. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin made home ownership reality by providing low-cost loans. My family got a loan because of that. Adequate hospitalization, concentration of all veteran services under the VA, prevented a post-war economic catastrophe. I mean, you can imagine all these people coming back, no jobs, just been a disaster. And then this is kind of interesting. The military draft stopped in 1972, in a large part because of the GI Bill. The benefits of the GI Bill made it attractive for people to join and get rid of the draft. Just out of curiosity, how about anybody's family, you or your family benefited from the GI Bill? Roger, I know the big deal for you.
Can I take a comment on my phone?
Please.
I'll add a little more color to the history, and then I'll answer his question. 1941, America ready for war, right? No, had 100,000 men in the Army, 100,000 men in the Navy, inadequate supplies, resources. The weaponry was terrible. The ships were old and obsolete. It was a terrible situation. December 7th, 1941, what happened? There you go. The world blew up. So America went to war with the army it had, not the army it wanted. 1942, there were bad things happening. Guadalcanal was a problem, Battle of Midway. So there were Americans getting killed, but not that many.
1942, late 42, the invasion of North Africa began. And all of a sudden, instead of 200,000 people in the military, we had 18 million Americans in the military, and 10,000 a month started coming home wounded or dead. That's a big change. That was what Colmery saw. And that was the need for America. So hundreds of thousands of wounded and dead. Horrific thing. I'm alive today because of the GI Bill. My father came home from Korea after, not World War II, but post-Korea, went to work back on the farm and was throwing hay bales when a guy from Ottawa University stopped by and said, "You want to play football at Ottawa?" And Dad said, "Yeah, great, but I can't afford it." He said, "Well, you're in the military, right? GI Bill." So my dad went to Ottawa, met my mother, and I'm alive today.
Well, I bet education.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, it's impacted. I bet if you really dug into it, probably almost everybody in this room is family and stuff. Okay, the last point is just about the pocket park downtown. I want you to go see that. I had kind of a funny thing I want to tell you. In my time, I've raised some money, kind of a lot of money really over the years. And two critical things I always think about is you got to have the right cause and ask the right people. So remember here in a law firm, I mentioned Frank Sabatini, and so that had the right cause and he was the right guy, so Frank helped a ton to fund that plaza. And he's missed, by the way. All right, I don't know. I know another thing I want to mention to you. There's here home of Harry Colmery signs on coming into town, east and west on I-70. Now, what disappoints me a little bit about that, it doesn't identify who or what he did, but it does say home of Harry W. Colmery, coming in and out of town. So 3 things. He lived and worked in Topeka, the GI Bill, most impactful, any nation, anytime, and go visit the plaza. Okay, so the American Legion books are on your table. There's more over there. Please help yourself. Any other questions or comments? Anything else anybody wants to say about the GI Bill? Sam? Yeah.
What's the timing of the deal being attached to Colmery deal being,
both fascination maybe a couple years apart. They were all both of 3 out of very longer.
Good question. Anything else? Yes, sir.
is the GI Bill still?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's been updated several times, but it's a still big factor for recruiting. You bet. And
we want to thank you for doing this work and bringing this to the public that did not know about Harry Colmery. That's really important.
thank you. Thank you. And it takes tons of people. I mean, I might have had a little something to do with it, but I by far was not the only one.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
you were the one, but tell them how much you raised.
I think we raised around $450,000. Yeah. And we have, I think, close to 70,000 in reserve to, as repairs are needed or replacements, and we have to put the flags up every now and then, and stuff like that. So it's not, we didn't just get it and build it and we're going to take care of it. Yes, Karen.
Just to help advertise for the pocket park a little bit. If people haven't just wandered Kansas Avenue or been incidentally there and seen visitors on Kansas Avenue, part of what Pat and his colleagues built into that one in particular, you see a lot of their photo ops. So when people come from wherever, they come just to see Topeka and then discover these pocket parks. Or they come for something like to find the Colmery mural for Pocket Park and see him and see that be able to stand in front of the collection of all the people representing all of those different backgrounds and get the pictures taken and take them home. And so the thought that you and your colleagues also put into creating all of them, as well as particularly this one, is, you know, it's the age of photo ops, right?
Right.
So people take them home and carry it with them. and things
Well,
like that.
we do see a lot of people down there taking pictures. I mean, it's just constant. So anyway, it's a pleasure being here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat. I never realized how much I love history until I actually came to Topeka, because you all know I wasn't born here. I didn't grow up here, but I love this city because we're embracing that history. And that was something when I drove from Michigan to go to K-State, I saw that sign, you know, when I first, and I was like, wow, I knew that part of history. And so to realize that history is made by your neighbors is pretty impressive. I love that about America. You know, I wasn't born here. So this is one of the things that I absolutely love about America is that regular people do amazing things every single day. So I just have a couple more announcements. I just want to remind everybody, please, please, please consider joining us at the last social of the year at Norseman. I'm going to be raising a glass to everybody who helped me with this wonderful year. And I would love to see everybody. Don't miss July 7th meeting. This will be Steve Knoll's first official meeting as the 22-23 club president. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but our team, our exec team, we lean on each other every single day and we help each other be successful. And I couldn't have done it without Steve and Vince and John and Stan. So it's so appreciated.
And before you leave, you know, the Rotary motto is service above self. And that is what describes Marie during her year as our president. She had the vision to get the club back on its feet and return to in-person normalcy, and that's just what's happened. Look around you and see old friends in the room that we've missed for a couple of years. It's been a year of trials and triumphs, and too many times, Marie was the committee or the benefactor that got this club going. She got it done. And in the middle of us learning to run the club again without staff, Marie got a new job as CEO of the library and never missed a beat as our leader. So we're here in this beautiful place, enjoying each other and making Rotary fun again. Personally, Marie has been inspirational, gracious, and very patient with me this last year. There has been a lot of rethinking process and getting members re-engaged. And as a servant leader, Marie has led the way and has been our most valuable player this year. I am delighted to have the honor to present you with your president's pin and a card that if you're in the room and want to sign, we've all signed a card for Marie. And this is a token of our appreciation and esteem. Thank you, Marie.
Thank you so very much. It has been a great year, and Grace promised me it would go fast when I said yes 3 years ago. Joni said it would be a whirlwind and each and every club member would help and carry me along to make it possible. And as I said, I couldn't have done it without everybody helping and lifting me up and being supportive and being willing to try new things or just laugh when things don't go as expected, like the day we had a bird show up at our memorial. Thank you so very much. And I'm looking forward to being past president. I see Stan. But this is really a great a great club, and I do honestly feel like you are all family. I don't have family other than my nuclear family here. Everybody else is in Michigan or in England. And so I love going to all the places I go to in Topeka and seeing, your smiles and your friendly faces. So thank you very much. Yes, Dr. Gimple?
Can I say one thing about the term?
Absolutely.
I'm new to Rotary Club, but this organization has done very well in helping these Ukrainian families get started. Yana Ross and Grace Morrison are the motors behind doing this. I've been a minor player. There are now 21 Ukrainians in our city. And she sent out an email or something today. There's 2 more in the pipeline. I don't know when she's going to quit, but that's not up to her. So thank you for whatever help you have been. She has a website that's the best, that's on Facebook. I don't know how to tell you to get there, but and there also there was a grant.
$25,000.
Yeah, from the Rotary that has been helpful. And there still needs to be a way, I don't know, a way for us to contribute money to help these people. But I don't think that really exists yet, but it should happen because 21 people are here already. They're going to have continuing needs. I've not met all of them, but I've met most of them, and they are fantastic people. They're not going to be on our welfare rolls.
Thank you, Dr. Gimple. Okay, so that is our meeting today. So let's stand for the 4-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Will it be fun and kind? Go brave the rain, have a great week, and I hope to see you next Thursday. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
You already said it.